Hello, hello, hello. My name is Amber Greenlee. This is a Pupdate. I commissioned a puppet. Yes, I know that's kind of a weird thing to say, but I commissioned a puppet. I had a puppet like 16 years ago that I ran for president when I was in Minnesota, and the puppet was on the primary because they have an open primary there, and it got like a tiny percentage of the vote, and it was just like a little fun thing to do. But because of all the insanity that's going on in like our reality and what's going on in the United States and stuff like that, I think I'm going to bring my puppet back. I don't know if he's necessarily going to just be a pundit or run for president again, or if he's just, I don't know. But he's going to come back. And so I commissioned a puppet. And so that is what we are going to go over today. Let me share my screen so that we can do that. And so this is my boring screen here, and I can hear my daughter in the background going like, ah, she really wants my baby girl. You're gonna have to wait. Okay, so we're gonna go over so this is what I sent my designer. This is what I sent my designer. And so I was like, okay, I want like a sock on the puppet. And here's my designer now, by the way.
I had feathers all over this place. I had to put it back.
Let me put us up like this, and then let me introduce you. This is Steve Troop, cartoonist, puppeteer, melonpool.com if you want to check out his comic strip and his books and puppets. And do you sell puppets off your website?
Not really. People can email me or text or Facebook me, and we can discuss.
you just I'm like, why aren't you posting this to puppet groups, and why aren't you you need to have a website of troop builds.
So, well, I mean, I have Puppet Troop, but I haven't ever done anything with it. But I only started doing these replicas recently because I've been so hard up for money. So yeah, that's again, it was I was always trying to do more for TV and film and all that stuff. Yeah. And, that's a good payday, but they're few and far between.
So because you are on air, my daughter is screaming from the other room. Oh. I'm gonna jump off air for a second to see what she wants, and I'm gonna allow you to talk about what a horrible client I am, and talk about this particular drawing and how we missed the sock.
Yeah, I got the sock back on, by the way. So.
Oh, you did. Excellent. So I'm going to jump off real quick. I won't hear a thing of what you're saying. I'm going to go check on my daughter. I'll be right back.
Okay. So she sent me this drawing originally, and from what I understood from the process, it was a rebuild of a puppet that Gordon Scooter had built years ago. So I was gonna, and I knew the pattern. I had the pattern. So I was going to build it, but she had a couple of things that she wanted. One of which was something to help her arm, is the way she described it. Now, I looked at that drawing, I saw the puppet, I saw the arm, but what I saw at the bottom was, I thought it was a tripod, and I was like, oh, geez, you got to build it up, you just got to do it. And it turned out what she wanted was a black sleeve that went down the arm, added to the puppet, which I didn't understand until last night when she told me about it again. I was like, The sock. So I ended up, I had to take it apart anyway for another reason, and so I was able to add a black sleeve inside. And actually, probably I should have put it in there anyway. The original pattern, which is the glorified sock puppet pattern from Project Puppet, which is a great pattern. If you're a beginning puppeteer, it's a great pattern. It's $20. You can get I think a $20 add-on. You make more like a Kermit type body, round foam one. So for $40, you basically can build a really simple puppet and learn everything you need. But this was kind of the next level. Like I wanted to add a little bit more functionality, a little bit more. The actual puppet pattern only has allowances to put polyfill in the fingers, and then it doesn't even have a rod. So I added a whole rod system and everything. But honestly, it's funny because Amber and I go way back. We've known each other forever, and I was just saying how awful she was. Yeah.
I am back.
Yeah, so we've known each other forever, and it was. She's an artist too, so she sees things that I don't see aesthetically. I'm usually about the. While I'm an artist too, then there always is the aesthetic thing. It's always about functionality for me. It's like you want to make sure it works, and you make a little allowances to make it work. So.
Well, for me, like, and again, I haven't heard much of what you've said because I've been tending to the 4-year-old.
Oh, I was just talking about the glorified sock puppet and how useful.
Yeah. Well, so for me, this particular drawing, when you have the puppet up here, I wanted a little bit of coverage in case my arm comes above the table or above the bottom of frame. So I had like a black sock, so then that way it's the eye illusion of, oh, I didn't see an arm.
Yeah.
So that was the functionality that I was thinking of for this particular drawing.
So,
and I haven't seen it
Yeah, so this is Mayberry, right?
Yeah.
And the way that I usually puppeteer Mayberry, it ends right there. See, that's the bottom of his body. But there's another 4 inches of fabric down here.
In case you need that extra fabric.
So me seeing the sock, I can kind of in frame see the bottom of that, and I know that I have about 2 more inches. And so that's what I did originally on your puppet. Was doing that, but then I added another 6 inches of black fabric at the bottom. So.
Yeah, and the 6 inches of black fabric was what I was picturing, and so it's again, this was like the worst drawing to give you to try and describe that.
I was telling him, I was like, oh, I thought you wanted some sort of support, and that was a tripod at the bottom.
No, that was an arrow going, I want this.
I see.
Okay, and so this was my awful drawing of I want to be able to have rods, and I want the rods to be able to kind of lock in, and then I wanted armatures so the fingers bent and were posable. And so you came up with, way more professional than my design, because you've been doing this, building these for a while.
So I've done that particular look. Now you let me know after I had built it a totally different way than I was doing it, which I'm going to try and see if it works, like where it comes in through the back and locks in. That's been a constant problem, because the thing I hate about the way that we've done it, and I don't know if I have any here that I haven't used them for years, but the way that it was a flag, it was a square flag that went up into a slot, and then you had to pin it shut to get it to stay in place.
So I'm gonna have to pin his arm shut?
No, I don't like that one, so I didn't do that. So
okay.
So what I was probably, because most of the puppeteering that I did was at comic conventions and things, and kids were always getting poked on those pins, or people were, I was like, I just didn't want to deal with it. So I ended up going to permanent rods for myself all the time. Yeah. And recently I did that strange fork replica.
Yeah.
And because the glove, because the gloves are made of this spandex, and I didn't know how to deal with that, I tried this thing that was on Adam Kruger's Puppet Nerd website.
Yeah.
where he has a curved piece of uh, uh, of wire. It's the armor, the rod. It goes into a vinyl piece of tubing, which locks it in place. And that curved piece. Well, I'll show you on yours. Well, the eyes again. Actually, I'm going to do it in such a way because it's just pinned on right now.
Yeah.
But, okay, so this is your arm, right?
Okay.
There it is, and you basically just twist it back and forth, and it stays in there nice and tight, but it
Yeah.
will, so it pops out, and there's the end of the rod, right?
Okay.
And then there's a little hole here.
Okay.
A little piece of piping, and you just
Okay.
need to find that pipe, and you twist it back into position,
Excellent.
and it'll stay. And I haven't
Okay.
had any problems with strange work. I've used it for about 6 months, so I'm putting it into so it'll be loose until it locks, and then it basically you just push it in,
Yeah.
and then
Hey,
now it's solid.
the way that Gordon did it, it wasn't like leather, but it was like something hard like that could take a beating.
Oh, okay.
And he made like a little pocket in there
Okay.
that was like shaped like a Santa sock. Okay, like a Christmas sock.
Okay.
And so what you did is you brought in the rod at an angle, and then you kind of slid it in like that. So the way that the rod was bent at the end had that kind of Santa sock bend to it. And so you would slide it into the Santa sock, and then it had control of the hand.
Interesting. You never had a problem with it popping out?
No, because again, you would have to slide it in, and the hole on the outside was reinforced on the inside of the puppet.
Okay.
So he had like made like a hem on the inside of the puppet, so then that way, as you use the rod in and out, because again, we were filming with our guys, so sometimes we needed to put the hands on like a steering wheel or something, right? And we couldn't have the rods in the shot, so we knew we were going to have the rods in and out of there. So he made like a hem around it, so then that way it didn't rip, it didn't tear, and but that hole was like barely big enough for the width of like the Santa sock to get in there.
Gotcha. So
right, so it'd have to stretch, and then it was like tight in there.
So here was my solution,
Yeah.
and it's actually kind of based on the way DJ built, which is there's a shoelace that runs all the way through the arm, and yours too. I put it because the stitches are not the strongest thing in the world, and so the shoelace reinforces, so you can just tug on it and you won't have any problems.
Yeah.
But the way that now yours it's sewn in as well, so you can't do this. But on mine, on Mayberry and stuff, you can untie that shoelace, and then you could swap it out with a whole other arm. I've never made the other arm, but the idea was to have three sets of arms, permanent rotted, no armature in there at all, but just articulated hands that would plug in, and then one with armature wire running through it so you could close it.
I feel like that's all overcomplicating it. Just have one pair of arms on the puppet.
I tell you, but see, here's the reason I don't do that, and I'm actually probably going to retrofit Mayberry and to have this style because I do like it better than what I was doing. But because I do so many meetings, like even today, I'll go out to county fair and bring Eddie, and I'll just goof around with him. I do not want something that's going to fail at the worst possible moment because it has happened so many times. So I like the permanent pod just for that aspect of it. But
where you can like trade it out or whatever. So going back through, this was another terrible drawing I sent you, and let me stick it in the center. So I'll do this. So it says inner wire and then hole for rod. Yeah. Another terrible drawing, and I'm like, this is what I want. I want the rods removable. And then this is a picture you sent me of some purple fur that you scored, and you're like, what about this for the body? And I'm like, his body's great. And yeah, and so that was a discussion we had. And then this was your dye job that you sent me, where the left was the proper instructions, and then the right was my requested instructions of a lighter.
That's not what happened. What it was is you picked a color called grape jelly, which I did exactly the way that it had in the formula. And I was going to do a test batch, but because I was filming it, I forgot to do the test, and I dropped in the actual fabric, and I pulled it out, and it was super dark.
Yeah.
So I took that dye, and I poured out half of it, filled it with water, boiled it again, and did the second batch, which I think was closer to what you wanted. But if I had quickly done the test, I never would have done that first batch. So it was just because I got nervous when I was filming it. So.
Well, but still, like that first batch, like would have still been too dark. And I think what I picked was probably either the dye or close to the original dye, because the left too dark is like the original Sebastian color.
Gotcha.
And when I had the original puppet, you had to pour so much light on it to get it to show up on screen. And albeit I had like shitty webcams back in 2008, and I was doing my best and trying to do it. But
the darker I have. So if you ever wanted me to make a younger version of him, I could, because I have that color now. But for eyelids and noses and stuff down the line, so I have.
Yeah, the younger version is gonna, that would have to be down the line. I am but a starving artist myself. But
the thing I have all this fabric left over, which I'm going to throw in there, and you can get somebody else to do it. But if you ever want to make legs, you have enough to make legs.
Yeah, that was one thing I was going to ask, is like, how much would legs be if I ever wanted to
$1,000. No, I gotta make up some of the money that I lost on this. No, I was kidding.
And the thing is I know what you quoted me, and then I know that I was like the worst client, and so I probably you probably went over budget on him.
You also got the friend discount. I mean,
I appreciate that.
We'll do it for cost of materials usually for friends. Yeah. But I also thought I'd get it done in a day. Yeah.
So this was we had discussed his eyes quite a bit, and this was one of the eyes that you had that you're like, hey, this is kind of like the eyes that you described, but while I liked the color, I didn't like the backing on it. But you were showing me like kind of the structure of the eye, about the size. It was about the size that we were discussing. And then this was another eye that you had ordered, correct?
Yeah, those are that's what I'm using right now. But
yeah, and this one has the right style, where it's made out of glass. It has the black dot in the middle of it, but it has this backing that you can remove. And so you tried it with yellow foam, and then put orange Sharpie around the outside, and it looked like he was bloodshot.
Right.
And so we were discussing yellow or blue for the eyes, because he's a purple puppet, and my initial thinking was that, yellow on purple is... Oh, I got a crying child. Give me a second. Right. Okay, I'll be right back.
Well, I still think yellow looks the best on purple. Blue and purple. Now, I'm colorblind also, so what do I know? I'm not super colorblind, but let me show you the way that we used to do those flags in the shop. So our flags were like this. They were this was wire going up, and it had a piece of piggyback tape on it, which then had a pocket inside the hand, which is all armatured out. There's a pocket in there. It went all the way to the edge of the fleece, and then there was wire in each of the fingers. It went around like this, and a little piece of usually leather or plastic was in there holding it in place. And then you'd put it up, and then you'd put a pin in going this way around it, and then this way going around it. Keep it shut. So it's different than what Gordon did in the original, which I thought I could try the way it sounded like. It was something like this, where it had a, the hand and then a pocket that went like that. And I don't know, maybe it'll work. It actually is similar to what I'm doing with the tube, where you have this tube that's in there and then the slot goes in to do it. But anyway, for all you puppeteers out there, my chicken scratch is making this.
Okay, I am back, and I have a little puppeteer joining us because she's very upset that mommy is not with her at this very moment because she is doing a podcast.
Oh, well, maybe I should go get my dog.
Well, she is going to be joining us because this is the best. I don't want her crying in the other room. I got mommy instinct. My spidey sense is tingling.
Sure.
And so, so we were talking about bloodshot eyes, and then you were going over how you were building your armatures different.
Yeah. I just showed kind of the like this is the way the ones that BJ would work.
Yeah.
This is the way Gordon has been done, kind of. And this is the way that.
Okay. All right.
And all are valid. It's just a matter of what concessions you need to do and what works best for you. I see so many of these tutorials online where they say this is the way to do it. This is how you do it. And I think there's 100 ways to do everything, and whatever works best for you.
I think it's better to say this is how I do it.
Yeah. I
right.
agree.
Yeah, and just say that this method works for me, right?
Well, I really do a channel where I actually have different puppeteers come on and solve the same problem.
Yes.
And then you have that arsenal of like, oh, if I have a problem like this is how I do it. Now this guy does it. This is
yeah. Well, and not just that, but there's a million ways to make a blinking mechanism, right?
Yeah.
But different blinking mechanisms work in different ways, sure. Right? And depending on the shape of the puppet or how it's built, one might work better than another, right? But going back to the eye and what we were talking about, because the puppet itself is purple, we were talking about yellow because they're contrasting colors and standing out. But I decided against yellow because I thought it would look too predatory. Here's
the thing too: is yellow does pop out on purple really well. And I know that when you're designing something, I've heard you don't put blue and purple together very much. So I'm a little worried about. We'll see what happens with that.
Well, at the same time, I've shown you what the old puppet looks like with the blue and purple, and it works with the old puppet.
Oh, I didn't remember it having blue. I thought it was yellow. So,
no,
okay.
He has blue eyes.
Okay, yeah, blue's fine then.
Yeah, and so this was my first design of the yellow eyes.
There it is.
Yeah. And then this is my second design. That's the one that you printed out that I added some orange kind of to the iris.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Yeah, and then this was where you let me know what the specs were for behind the eye. This is his first cheek. Remember when?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
seems like a million years ago, but I think it was Monday. So.
Yeah, and then again, this is me being the worst client ever and going, I decided instead of yellow, let's do blue.
Yeah, I still haven't printed those out, so I've got to actually do that today.
Yeah, so this was my first blue option, and then this is my second blue option. Second blue, I think, is probably going to be closer because it has white in it to reflect more. And then this was you showing me about grafting in some fur into the black.
Right.
And then I was like, well, what about doing darts? You're like, no, it's just easier to do slits. And so you're like, what about this gray? And I went, that's perfect. And then you were showing me these ostrich feathers. And I went, yes, I love them. And then you're like, yeah, I'm thinking the pattern would be something like this. And this was your design back to me.
Yeah.
And so this was when you printed out the yellow and you tried it with the eyes that we're using compared to the blue that we're not going to be using.
Yeah.
And while I like the way that the yellow looks, I don't think it's Sebastian's eyes.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I think that the blue's going to be better. And then this is you showing me the back of the sparkly and then the front of the sparkly. And then Sebastian's head when it wasn't attached to anything.
So this is the this is the sparkly eye here.
Yeah.
But when I accidentally put the back in, you get this.
I can't see much difference. Can you put it down and change your camera?
Oh yeah, that's what I do. So that's the back.
It's out of focus.
Well, that might be what we have.
No, can you put it down and let the camera focus on your table?
Maybe. Let's see. Wait a second. It's got this tab on the back that makes it really difficult.
Yeah, I understand.
Well, I can't get it up in there. Anyway,
Ah.
without me holding it, it doesn't. Right. So this
Okay.
This is it sparkly.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
this is the same color but matte on the back.
Yeah. I still don't like the sparkle for the blue. I'm, it seems you see it on plushies everywhere that it just kind of seems kind of cheap.
Sure, that's fine.
No,
we don't use a sparkle either. I just again, I don't have the. I can't. We can put the holes in and we can stick it in there, but I don't want to do it permanently because I have to. It's harder to get it off once the backing is on it.
Yeah.
Because it's a safety eye.
Yeah.
So we'll stick it in place with the bad eye color, and then I'll get the right color and we'll put it in and it'll be done. So. Okay.
So because can the eyes like pop out easily or something, or like?
So they won't pop out. So the way these things work is they have you got the eye.
Yeah.
That's with no backing, and then you put the little insert in that is the back, right?
Okay.
And then there's this stopper. I could ruin this one. It doesn't matter. I have so many of these things. Basically, you put you put a hole in the fabric, and then you stick this on, and it snaps in place, and then it's in there permanently.
Okay.
So actually, that's no. I'll put it on screen for its hand here. Okay, so that's the way it would.
Oh my God!
Okay. Okay, I kind of see.
Yeah. And so then there's no way to get this off once the rubber's on there.
Okay.
On. So what you do is you make a hole that's the size of this black part. You stick it through the fabric and then snap it from the back, and that's what keeps it in place.
Okay. So are you cutting out the blue then, like?
Yeah. So
now?
Ooh, what am I right now? No. So I haven't printed it out. I'm the full page now, right? Did I mess something up? Oh no, you just changed it. Okay. No. So
I had it up so because you were showing us stuff and I wanted to see it.
Yeah. So So what I do is I have a hole punch that's almost the right size of the eye, which is a little bit too big, and then I set it in place, and then I trim around to get it to the edge of the thing. So it'll just be the same size as this thing, as this insert.
But you still need to print out the blue.
I still have to print it out.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have to go to Kinko's and do it, and when I did the first one, it took 3 days for them to get around to it. So.
You're kidding me.
No, it's the one print. So what I wanted to do was, I think I'm going to print up a bunch of different versions of the same, because it's only like this big on this big old piece of paper. So
why don't you just go to the UPS store? They do the same thing.
Well, because there's a Kinko's like half a mile from here. It's super close. And besides, I knew that I had paper choices at Kinko's, so.
Okay.
And
That's
it was the
awesome.
middle of the night when you wanted these blue eyes, so I.
That's true. That's true because I'm the worst client. I acknowledge that I have changed my mind multiple times on things.
Yeah. I want to get this
And-
in the mail so you can't make changes anymore. So.
Yes, no, and again, I am recognizing that sometimes artists make the worst clients.
Yeah.
And-
No, I think this is what it is. I've noticed that when I cut my prices, there's a level of resentment that starts in me. That is like, I could be making all this other money, but I'm doing this favor for somebody, and they should just like whatever I put down. So
Well, no, and the thing is I'm trying to catch this stuff before it's like you have to unsew something, right? You know, I'm trying to like no, let's pick the eyes before like the eyes go in. Let's
No, I would
pick the mane before the mane goes on, right?
Yeah.
I am trying to catch the stuff before it becomes a permanent thing, and you know, because this is going to be like, you know, this is going to be my project for at least the next 4 years.
Yeah.
And so this is what you sent me for the hands, with a really good design of your mechanism in there with your insert.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, let me actually zoom in on that and bring that up on the big screen. So then that way we can show that to people. So that's kind of what you do with your little piping in there. That's cool.
So it's similar to what Adam Kruger does, but he has a different way of doing the finger. How we do armatures in the we do, and grafted it onto what Adam does.
Yeah.
I also put the shoelace in because I like the extra structure. But the main contribution I have to this, because the way that we always did the shop is we would drill about 50 holes in that palm, and then run wire all the way around it forever. So my contribution is to use 6 zip ties.
Yeah.
Which works just as well. So
yeah, I think it's a brilliant solution, honestly. And it's, you know, it's a surprisingly clean solution. Just a sec, I'm trying to manage a child and you and so
I understand that.
Yes. But at least she's not crying in the other room. She's very upset when I had to leave her in the other room. So this is what you sent me, which I'm gonna call kind of the rough layout for layout.
So what that really is that I got the Amazon delivery, and I just put everything on the table and shot a picture of it. So that's just the walk out of the box. So
yeah, exactly. So I knew it wasn't sewn together, but it's like, here's the head, here's the arm, kind of in the area. So yeah, so I basically called I think this one for Seb no mouth plate, because you said the mouth plate wasn't sewn in yet. And then these are the 2 arms with the armature in. And then this is a great picture of you that you sent me. And with this one was where I realized that the mane and his body had very similar color. Yeah. And I was like, I want some kind of contrast. I want some kind of separation. And this started another Amber's a terrible client discussion.
Well, yes. I did something. I hadn't realized I hadn't trimmed that body for yet, because I took it down.
Yeah.
About it. It was about 1.5 inches. I took it down to about 1/2 inch or an inch. And so now it's quite a bit darker too. But it's got the gray poking through, which is really cool. I mean, I think I was surprised by how much it photographed dark like that, because in person it didn't. I mean, light like that, because in person it looked a lot darker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, the interesting thing about entertainment, I will say, and like film and things like that, is that like puppetry, I don't know, costuming, is things do photograph different than the colors they really are. And you know this. And that's something that
I think a lot of people who buy props are surprised about that it looks different in person than it does on screen. It's like you buy the screen use prop and you're like, that's not it. Like, it is.
Yeah. Well, the best example I can think of that is Star Trek costumes, because the red of the Star Trek, that's this bright, vibrant red, right? If you ever see the costumes in person, they're like this maroon color.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's not the bright, vibrant red, but there's so much color that was poured onto that costume that's what the camera picked up.
Where'd he go?
So,
oh, where did he go? Oh, he's coming back.
Speaking of Star Trek, this is one of my procurements over the years. The guys who did Star Trek Phase 2 New Voyages. They had
was that the one that Grant Imahara did?
No, that's continues, but it's kind of the same vein. But the original, those original New Voyages Phase 2, James Cawley, who played Captain Kirk when he built the set, he was assistant to William Where's These, the guy who did the original costumes for Star Trek and Star Trek Inspiration.
Yeah.
He's died. He willed James 3 bolts of the original 3rd season fabric for the costumes. Okay, so that's where the costume stuff came from. He had 3rd season, because they made 3rd season. They made enough custom dye for 3 more years. Well, it got canceled after 1 season, so they had all these bolts of fabric.
Yeah.
So James decided he was going to make all these costumes, and what he found is he needed a full yard to do each tunic.
Yeah.
And he ended up with a half a yard at the end of each one. So I was able to get a half a yard of Captain Kirk gold fabric, okay, which I've never built into a shirt for Mayberry, but this is it. And look at the color of it. It's
the right color.
Avocado green that looks more gold on camera. So,
to me, it's a gold color. Yeah, because I'm looking at it on camera.
But in person, it's kind of an avocado, like a light avocado green.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's awesome, because again, I'm looking at it on camera, so I'm seeing kind of the goldish color that's on air. But it also depends on what light you pour on it too. Right. Yeah, and so
the fact that they couldn't use it because there wasn't enough to make the tunic was great for me, because I don't need as much fabric, so I have enough to maybe make two captain shirts for Mayberry.
So you're gonna make a Mayberry captain shirt
eventually. I haven't done it, but
okay. Well, you have to, because you have the material. Just do it for the sake of living.
But I tell you, there's this thing, and this happened to me with buying Muppet Fleece. There's a real hesitation to use the good stuff because you're afraid you're going to ruin it, and that's kind of what happened with this. Is it's like, I only have so much. I'm never going to get any more, and that could be, that could be it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out how to parent and run a podcast and do this at the same time. We're talking about Star Trek costumes, which I'm really fascinated in, and I don't want to leave you hanging again, but I also have this.
Yeah.
So okay, so we talked about like the difference in lighting and what you throw onto the puppets, right? Mm-hmm. And so, I'm sure Kermit is a different green than we expect him to be. It's true. And so Sebastian, I wanted him to be a lighter purple, so I didn't have to throw as much light on him. And I wanted him to be lighter than black, which was his original body fur, because again, I wanted him to reflect more light so he shows up more on camera. And so the gray solves that problem, and then the lighter fleece color solves that problem. And time has passed, so he's aged, right? But I still wanted that contrast with the collar, so with the mane. So here I was like, oh, I want contrast. What if we did black? And so I was like, what if we added like a black triangle or something? Like chest hair, maybe? I don't know. And you were like, what about this? Which was like a totally better, easier Occam's razor solution to what I was like thinking like you needed to add like an extra piece or whatever, and you're like, no, just an extra line of feathers.
Yeah. So on that one too, that was about when we decided. You mentioned the sock again, and so I was gonna have to take that neck off anyway to put the sock in. So it was super easy to add this piece, but I wanted to make sure that we had it in the right place because I think you have another photo of it with the black under it as opposed to on top. And yeah, so I want to make sure that you had it in the right spot. I think that's what we want to go with. That one.
Okay, so you showed me this one, and I was like, ooh, I like that, but I don't want it that long, right? Yeah. And so you showed me this one with, I think it was black on the bottom, white on top.
Right.
And I was like, no, I don't like that. And because you're showing it to me in Facebook, I hearted the other one. And I'm like, okay, I like the one I hearted. And then you sent this one to me and you're like, yeah, this is black on the bottom, white on top, I think.
No, so what that is black on the top, a sandwich of white and gray, and then black on the bottom. So
okay. Yeah, and I was like, it was like too thick or something like that. And yeah, and so this one, I'm trying to figure out what this one was.
I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, Seb Main Pattern Test 001 is what I named it.
You make it full screen, and then maybe I can tell you what it is.
Oh, yeah. Give me a second. I need to do that.
That is black on the bottom with white on top on the original fur of the. That's just the body.
Okay.
I know you're taking off the head.
Okay. Okay. I will be right back. I gotta put her in bed.
Okay.
And give me 1 second.
So yeah, usually when I have a client, what they do is they'll give me a little drawing, then I'll do a drawing of it, showing the way it would look as a puppet. Then they make changes or they keep it the same, and they sign off on it. And then I just build it, and then at the end of it, I show it to them, and then they say, "Oh, this changed, and then it's done." And this is a little different because Amber does design and she does draw and she does have experience with puppets and she knows what she wants. And she's really good at articulating that. But then I also have all those skills too. And so sometimes I'll see something in a drawing that she drew that she didn't intend and vice versa. And so that's where we get a little off on it. But again, it's all part of the process. The hardest clients to have are the ones that know what they want, they cannot articulate it, they cannot draw it, and you're sitting there constantly trying to draw what's in their mind, and they don't even really know what it looks like until they see it, and that's difficult as a designer.
I love my daughter. She's in bed.
Does one lead into the other, or no?
No, no, not like that. Ew. Where's your mind?
No, it's just like I love her when she's sleeping.
No. I mean, it's just I got her into preschool this week. Like, total aside, nothing to do with puppets. I got her into preschool this week, which is good. It was delayed because there was hiccups with her vaccines and stuff. I didn't want her in general populace until she was protected. And so she was delayed in getting into preschool by like 4 months. And so she was in preschool for 2 days, and then she has a 3-week break. and then she goes back in January, right? But it's only Monday through Thursday. And so Friday she's not in preschool. And so she had 2 days of like all this excitement, and then Friday she's like, Mom, pay attention to me, and it's like, I love you, child, but I have things.
Does she like it?
She loved it. Yeah, she the first day they made waffles, and the second day they had like basically their goodbye for the holiday break party. Mm-hmm. So she had a very good introduction to school.
But she's in for a rude awakening at the beginning of January.
Well, it's preschool, so it's it's basically guided play. Yeah. Okay. So we were discussing this where you said this is over the original puppet fur.
Yeah, so I had put it over the original puppet fur, and I just wanted before I sewed it up, because that's one thing about sewing something and then ripping it out and then sewing it again is you start to lose the integrity of the fabric. You start maybe getting a little holes, so I didn't want to do it again. So I just wanted to have one last shot of it as it was going to be, and it turned out to be the wrong one. So it's good that I did that because I ended up work on top. But
yeah, and again, like this is why I like the fact that you've been sending me pictures with like updates and stuff, so I could go like, no, don't go in that direction.
There was a lot of time there, and I started to do it when you asked for more pictures. But
yeah,
I'm used to just a pile of parts until stuff starts going together, and a lot of times that makes clients crazy because they can't see the full picture. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not. The joke that we always have in the shop is we'll send foam mock-ups of a puppet to somebody. We're like, send, and we'll send the email, and we'll each say to each other, is it going to be that color? Because that's usually the question they ask, because they do not understand that there's going to be
no. But at the same time, Steve, I too am a builder.
Oh yeah.
Of things and comic artists, and I understand there's a process.
That's what I was talking about when you were putting her to bed. Is that you're by far not the worst client, because the worst client is the client that cannot draw, cannot visualize, knows what's in their head, but you have to draw it before they'll go through it.
Oh, the finale of this is going to be showing my design.
Yeah, okay.
That I sent you and stuff like that. So this is just
the,
going through the like, this is what you sent me, right?
Yeah, and the design actually came after it was largely built. So
yeah. Well, and again, I haven't even like I showed them like my phone drawings, and then there was a couple of videos from like 7 years ago I pointed you at. And then, like, I think I sent you a comic I drew in college, and that was like it.
Right.
And and then, like, you had, okay.
Well, and also it was a pattern. It was a pattern that existed. It was so working from the pattern. I knew I was going to get close, at least structurally, to whatever.
Yeah. To give myself credit, I did give you like, here's the pattern. And it's at 108%. And, I did give you that, like, so it's not like I didn't, it's not like I'm like, build this guy from scratch.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. So I did do that.
Because the pattern is different. There's certain things that I changed on the pattern based on the way that I knew, like they suggested using cardboard in the mouth, which I knew that was wrong. I didn't do that, I'm probably going to put a foam insert in there when it's instead of the polyfill that's in there. Because again, that's something that's just going to break down to be terrible.
Did you put like a little like sponge of foam in the nose like I requested?
Yeah.
You did? Awesome.
Well, there's the foam that's there, but I will put more. I can definitely put a sponge of foam.
Well, again, like, I'll see it on your hands and stuff in a minute.
Yeah.
But going over the picture that's in the middle, I think this is me going, yeah, that's what I want.
That's the one, and that's what we did. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, and I was like, yeah, as soon as that's trimmed up. And then I told you that I wanted the black longer in the front than the white, and then the white a little shorter in the front. And then in the back, the black and the white kind of the same length. And cut like a vampire collar.
Yeah, which I must have missed that one about the black, but we'll see.
What about it being 2 inches longer?
Longer in the front. Yeah. We'll see. I may have to do it again.
How do you miss the stuff? It's like it's in the comments. We talked about it being 2 inches longer than the white in the front. That the white would be 2 inches, and then the black would be 2 inches longer.
2 inches in the back. Well, you'll see.
No. But I thought the back was just not trimmed. Like the back was just
not trimmed, but it's trimmed to a V in the front. You'll see. It'll be fine.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we'll see in a second. Okay. So, and then this was you sharing me after you trimmed the body.
Yeah, which I think helped it a lot.
Yeah, because it darkened the body a lot. and it helps add that contrast between the collar and the body. And so, talking about tonality, let's talk art theory. Let's talk color theory for a second. So, tonality for a second. The purple of Sebastian and the gray of the body are very similar in tone to each other versus that white contrast and then that black that's very dark. And so the white and the black next to each other, that contrast adds a lot of attention. That's going to bring the eyes basically to the center of his body where he's talking. But I wanted kind of symmetry between his face and his body. And so the fact that that tonality matches, even though it was a happy accident, I'm like thumbs up, 5 stars, no notes.
So,
does that make sense?
Yeah. So let me show you a little something here real quick. So I mentioned this in one of the videos because I videotaped this entire thing. So this is so the way that my the workshop's set up. I have this brown craft paper down, and then I have a green cutting mat on top of that, and then I have this white stuff that I can pin into. But for the bulk of this build, I had just the craft paper down. Okay, so that's what I could see. But as I said, I'm colorblind, or a little bit colorblind, and this purple is almost the exact same tonality as this brown paper, especially in bad light. And whenever I would thread the needle, I could not see it on the. I can't even see. I can barely see that thread on that craft board. So
because of the tonality.
So finally, I just got out the green mat so that I could see the see the thread on it. It's driving me crazy in the middle of the night trying to see that thread. And it was like, oh my God, I'd go to the other room, thread it, go back, come back in.
I know, because I'm the worst client, because I am.
That my colorblindness is very slight. I can see a lot of color, but there are certain tones that I cannot differentiate between the two, and that was one of them. So,
well, yeah, it's probably like a red-green color blindness if you have trouble with like magentas. I
think your daughter's yelling at you.
Nope, not on my end. No, okay. What you're hearing is the music.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this you sent to me with taped on the eyes, and you said this was like the bad blue, right? Under the eyes.
Blue. That's just an insert backwards, and I just taped them on, and because I haven't cut the holes yet, they won't lie flat, and so that's why they're just.
Yeah, they're just kind of taped on because we don't know where the eyes are going to go exactly yet.
But you did give me that nice drawing showing on your knuckle. And
that's just it.
Our hands are almost exactly the same size.
And that's just it. Like, let me see if I have something here that could show you what I'm picturing in my mind. Gosh, do I have something? It's like I have nothing.
I know, that's what I am too.
Yeah, because I have a child, I've gone pretty
like that.
Well, I've gone pretty digital, and so like I don't have a lot of like little things anymore like I used to. Anyway, but here we see him starting to come together. Yeah, see, but you have that. I don't.
No, I'm trying to articulate it for you. That's kind of what you want.
Yeah, and so where I see him, I'm trying to think if I have something. Let me grab some coins. I'll be right back. All right, give me a second.
I like that this is probably the absolute worst picture of this puppet too. It looks much better than this. It's on a hand. You get to a certain point with these puppets where you can't get it far enough away from the camera that you're shooting to get a good picture of it. So you have to resort to a stand. But yeah.
And then he just waits in silence for me.
No, I was talking. I was saying that I was happy she used the absolute worst picture of this puppet. That once it goes onto a stand, once it gets to a certain size, you can't get a picture of it on your arm. Easily. So you have to resort to a stand.
Okay, so I'll show this in just a second. So, kind of showing you, where I'm thinking is like, think if it were coins, it would be like right there where the top of your knuckles, like where it would stop. So, right? So if that were round, right, the roundness would be coming out of the hole.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then going for the round, right? Where I want his eyes is kind of like that.
Okay.
Okay. Is like one over where my ring finger and my pinky is going to go, and then one over where my index, and not quite over where.
So usually what we'll do is we'll find the
sweet spot.
I'll use tape. We'll use the seam down the middle to get it the same distance from each side. And,
yeah, exactly. But that's about the distance. I'm thinking. Here, let me see if I can, like, it's about, it looks like it's about an inch on me. You know?
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, inch on center. So half an inch from the seam in the middle. And is that the center or is that the edge of each? So is it the center is an inch apart, or is it the?
No, it was about an inch to the edge of each coin.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. So it would be probably, like I said, to about 2 inches from each other in my drawing.
Mm-hmm.
I had, and that was to center. But yes. So what's on screen right now is the first page of the comic that I sent you as part of my design, because it contains these 2 pages of designs of Sebastian that I sent you as part of this is what he should look like.
Right. Perfect.
Which is like the worst thing.
But having been familiar with that pattern, I knew what it was. I mean, it was really nothing else it could be.
Yeah, exactly. And so I
was in the grainy YouTube video you sent me. I could see that it was fur, but I couldn't tell it was black. I thought it was purple or a lavender or something that was the same color, which is why when I found that fabric, I was like, oh my God, this is great. This is so close to what we're going to dye, and it's fur, But,
Oh yeah, and then this is a really tiny one, and you said, no, that's blurry. And then, oh my gosh, that one's really tiny too. Yeah, these guys don't want to play at all in here. This was for the Pupdate today. And then this was my design. Yeah. Let me put it in the big window. I'll do this, so then that way people can see the whole thing. And I'll do, oh, sorry. I'm trying to figure it out as we go.
It's me.
There we go.
I'm actually at a full screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this was my design, my initial design.
Mm-hmm.
My initial design to you was just this top row, and I think the bottom row was empty. And I'm like, okay, this was the color of the tongue. This is the color of the mouth. This is the color of the fleece. This is kind of what I see for the fur here, and then for his hair and for his eyes. And again, the eyes, I said blue or yellow up here.
That helped me a lot. It was light gray or dark gray. I'm just like, I could actually, you know what? I thought I was going by what we were talking about, and we were talking about yellow for so long that got stuck in my mind about that. So anyway, no big deal. Actually, we got pretty close on that fur. On those,
we really did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really did. And again, your color blindness, I forget about it. So
it's
like
about that. So I looked for that fur. I looked all over Joann's, and I think I went to another store locally here to try and find a fur that would work for that. Could not find anything. Went on Amazon, and what I found were Christmas table runners in white, black, and gray. And the gray one was what I grabbed. I have 5 pieces about this big, and they were just big enough to make one side of the body. And I have no idea why anybody would want gray. I guess it's coal-stained snow. I have no idea. The sooty snow. But anyway, it was perfect for this. So honestly, you always have to think outside the box when you're building these things, because you can't just go to the puppet store and get stuff.
Yeah, there is no puppet store. But this is where we were talking about, like, where the eye placement is. And like I said, I want it kind of like right under the knuckle.
Yeah, that's pretty close to where Kermit's are.
Yeah, exactly. And, that way he's still kind of looking forward. He's not just looking up.
Right.
And so this was my recent request.
There's a couple of options with that.
Yeah.
So let me show you on screen for you.
Okay. Let me put you up on the big screen, so then that way we can.
So these puppets are very modular in the way they're built. So I took the body off. You see this ring down at the bottom of boning?
Yeah.
I put that at the bottom.
Okay.
And that would cause that. I make it bigger than, basically as tight as it'll go to make it kind of come out like a little bit cone.
Yeah.
That's one option. Another one was putting foam in there. I don't know if there's enough stretch to make foam look anything like anything other than foam, because this fabric doesn't stretch at all.
Well, that's just it. Is it's not meant to. It's not meant to like stretch. What it is it's as I move around and stuff, it's supposed to just look like girth.
So this
has
what I mean? Body in it. This has a foam body in it, which keeps it out like that. And I had to use this EVA foam because it's so stretchy; it would just shrink on itself.
Okay.
But you could put a foam body in there, but like I said, because it's so tight already, there's not a whole lot.
Can you show me the bottom? Can you show me how much fur you put on it, or did you take off the extra fur?
No, I didn't trim off the extra fur. So this is it. This is where the body would end, right here.
Yeah.
But then there's another. Sorry. Come on. Okay, so this is where the body would end. This is how much fur there is. There's another.
Is the fur attached to the sock, or is it separate from the sock?
Yeah, right. It's two sleeves.
Okay.
And
Hear me out. What if we had like that hula hoop of foam, and the fur rolled?
Yeah, that's how I was gonna do it.
Yeah, and then like stitched tight, so that it adds that love handle. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I could,
like, the fur would be rolled on the inside and then stitched tight. I know, I'm being so difficult. I'm the worst client.
Was that a comment?
Yes, it is. I'm the worst client. I'm so difficult.
Let this be a lesson to all of you people that want to work with Amber.
No. I no. And again, I'm trying to like get changes and stuff made while they're still at a stage that they can easily be made.
Well, I wouldn't say it's easily made, but yeah, they can be made. This is real down and dirty, but
is this that ring like you have on the pig?
It's called corset boning. So it's like what would be inside of like the portrait, I guess, or wedding dress.
Okay. Is that similar to like what you do cross stitch with?
No, it's flexible. I think they use it in bras too. I'm not sure what they use. So it used to be made out of whale. It was called whale boning, and now it's made out of polyester. And so anyway,
the things you learn making puppets.
Oh, I know. I'd never heard of this stuff before. I use it around the neck usually to keep it from collapsing on itself.
Yeah, I imagine it would be very useful for something like that to add extra support.
Yeah, and you can do it vertically.
Ooh. I like the bulge that's showing up.
So that's basically what it would do. Doesn't do a whole lot, but
wait. Can you move the hands out of the way? So what I see, all right, I gotta draw. I'm here.
Again, it's because there's no stretch to this fabric that it's doing it. If it was a bigger piece of fabric, it would come out farther. But that's
yeah, I see what you mean. What I kind of see is like, so here's the fabric, right? Here's the fur.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what I see is rolling this guy underneath like that.
Right.
Okay. And then you can put your boning in there, or like I said, foam I think would be better to kind of give it a little bit more space, right? So that it's something for the fur to wrap around that's kind of bigger.
So here's the problem: is it's not much bigger than your forearm. I mean, that's the way the pattern is. But I mean, we could probably get foam in there. Let's see.
Do you have like? I don't know if there's like a finger-sized piece of foam or something, like circular foam, like I said, I'm imagining like a hula hoop of foam.
Yeah.
But what I see is like that hula hoop in here, and so it wraps around there like that, and then the fur.
Again, this is real down and dirty, so.
Okay.
And again, if there was stretch to it, you get a little
Okay.
Bit. This isn't too bad.
So if you can see the screen, what I see is like, so this is the fur, and then it wraps around like the piece of foam or whatever's in there, and then it's stitched tight to itself. Right.
So that's basically that. I don't know if you want to put it up.
Here, let me put it up. No, that's not what I'm seeing. Like.
So what is that? So
what I'm seeing is like, okay, so the fur, maybe something like this, where the fur.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Something like this, and maybe you could put like. I don't know, like, I don't want to say like the boning or something, but like maybe like a firm piece in here, and then like that, and then like the fur goes around like this and stitches to itself.
Well, the biggest problem is, like I keep saying, is no stretch to this, or very little. So it's basically you got to do it the exact same size as what's there. What am I doing with my razor blade?
Yeah, so I see something kind of like this.
Again, there's stuff that works and there's stuff that doesn't. And, I'm willing to try everything, but
yeah, I'm like the worst at describing this stuff.
It doesn't work. No, I have some stuff that is basically what you're describing. So this is a round. It's 1.25 inch rope, right?
Yeah, that's very similar to what I was seeing, and we may not even need the whole thing. Maybe even cutting that in half.
Yeah. Well, let's see what we get.
Because I have the sock, I have the coverage that I need. So I can use that extra fur to build that gut. Do you
Yeah,
need to
but
go potty? Okay, I have to take my daughter to go potty. I will be right back.
okay.
I'm sorry, I'm a parent. I got to do this.
He's gonna be in for a rude awakening when I take my dog for a walk. His eyes look so small on here. Or just one right in the middle. If it was me.
Love my daughter. I love her.
Okay, this is basically what. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying that, good potty experience. Not peeing on the floor or anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's basically what you described right there.
Yeah.
If you like it, you make that happen. That's not a problem.
Okay, yeah, because like I said, it's been 16 years. I imagine he would have gained a gut.
First of all, how dare you? No, just kidding.
I said he.
Yeah.
I'm referring to Sebastian.
Okay.
And then okay, so going back to what I was doing before with we were talking about arts. So going back here, this design one, this was like my last image was the design. Like I said, it was kind of like my finale. And so closing up my thing, you said you wanted to talk about the mane and the hair.
Yeah, so the mane is trimmed.
Okay.
And I based that's basically what it looks like.
Can I see the back? How come his sides seem longer than his back?
Because I haven't trimmed them. What do you mean the sides?
So
you want them trimmed up here, right?
Like he has like a bare spot in his back.
That's just because the hair is on top of it. So it's not as bare. It's not as bare as you think it is.
Oh, okay. It's just because it's just the way that the feathers were laying.
It's just because I have this kind of laying on here, and I haven't made the hair of the right place here. Originally, I thought it would be farther forward on his head, so it's a little longer. So
is the hair attached?
No, it's just pinned on.
Okay.
So his hair looks terrible.
So let me see. Let me see the mane from the side. Can you rotate? Can you do me a favor? Can you take him off your arm and then hold him from the top of his head? Yeah, take off the hair for me.
Easier said than done. How did I get to change it?
I know I'm making it so difficult.
No, I only put this on here because I was trying to figure out where the eyes went. Okay, so there he is.
Okay, and then hold him from the top of the head for me, so that he's like almost like a cat, like how you'd hold him from the back of the neck. Yeah, and then yeah. Okay, and then can I see him from the front again? I like that mane. I really do. I like the way that it turned out.
More triangular on the side.
Yeah.
But I only trimmed the very front of it. So yeah. So yeah, I can taper it up a little bit more. It's always going to be a little scraggly. That's just the nature of the beast. But
yeah,
there's a couple wild strands here and there. That adds a lot of movement to it though too, which I like. You know. It's
oh yeah. And the thing is like his old mane was just a thin thing of fur.
Mm-hmm.
And so this one is like, again, he's
well, I'm trying to upgrade everything. So here's something I was noticing. Here are the size eyes. Wait.
Yeah.
Can you see how small that is? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, because my inclination is to do something more like that.
Mm-mm.
No? Okay.
No, that's just my cartoony exaggeration when I drew it up and stuff like that. I know I drew him kind of big, but
okay. So,
but no, he has small eyes like that.
So now there's that foam in there, or that fluff, which that is brain. So that's him. That's him, just the hand.
Yeah. Okay.
So it must not have had foam in there, or it must not have had any polyfoam in there.
No, he was closer to that. He was very loose.
Great.
Like I said, the fingers were very free inside the head, and then the thumb had a pocket to stick into. So then that way you had some stability in the head if you were doing a performance with the fingers.
Sure. And I haven't put that pocket in. I'm going to run a piece of elastic under the tongue.
Okay, that works.
And then I'll tongue over it, which will tie the elastic into the mouth. But that was the only way to do it because there's really no structure in there.
And he still doesn't have his mouth plate in, right?
He has the mouth plate in.
Okay.
It's in there. I did glue that in when I turned it. But he doesn't. If you want a piece of foam, any foam that you put in here is going to restrict the movement. So I can put it in there, but it'll probably just be tacked. If you don't like it, you can pull it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only reason why I was talking about the foam previously with him was because with the original puppet, the nose always kind of had a divot in it if I didn't put foam in there.
Yeah.
And so I realized, like, what I would do is I would put paper towels in there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a lot, but it was enough to just kind of keep it from divoting when I did a performance. And so that was the only thing. And I don't know if that's just the design or that particular puppet's personality.
A lot of it to keep it as flexible as possible.
Yeah.
There it is with a piece of foam in there in the nose.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's so close. The hair is like I know you just had it pinned in before.
Yeah.
So let's look at his hair, his mohawk.
So I hate the way it is now. I have another idea how to do it.
Yeah.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a foam mohawk, and then I'm going to cover it in fur, and then I'm going to poke holes in it and stick the ostrich plumes through that, and then trim it. Because
well, that's what I was going to say is that, you know, his original mohawk was fur, right? And so it matched his body because it was black. And so I think it was even made out of the same fur as his body.
Well, that's an idea too. I didn't even occur to me to do that. I can find my original box. So here's the untrimmed fur.
Yeah.
Let me make a quick mohawk for me. See what that looks like.
Now, if you end up using that gray for his mohawk, I want a little more black in it.
Well, I'll show you that too.
Yeah.
Okay, so. And you really should be cutting fur with a razor blade on the back.
Yeah.
So.
Not scissors.
Yeah, because you get fur everywhere. Actually, that doesn't look. I think I still need to put. Foam inside of it to bulk it up, but
yeah.
I mean, there's that. But the thing that you can do, and it takes time, but once you get the mohawk done, you can actually take a Sharpie. And then
and just kind of darken the fur.
I have some here. You take rubbing alcohol.
Yeah. You take rubbing alcohol. ... It is fun getting a puppet built. I will say that. It is fun getting a puppet built, and it's going to be fun writing for Sebastian's crazy mind again.
Wait a second, I got it.
He will keep my sanity over the next 4 years, because I will lose this puppet's sanity.
Almost there.
Oh, no worries.
So I have these alcohol swabs that work great, and I can't find those. But so you take rubbing alcohol, and then on this, so that's it with the black on there.
Yeah.
You can kind of work it in with a rubbing alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
You get something like that.
Yeah, nice.
So if I use this fur, I could kind of do that and then add some plumes to it to give it a little bit of movement.
Yeah. I think some of those black plumes and doing the poke through like you showed me.
The other option is I have this fur. It's a different fur, but it's longer. That I could darken, make it blacker. But it's similar to the lightest ends of this. Kind of.
Let me see him closer to the camera.
That's easier to said than done because I have about 2 yards of it here.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So,
yeah, if you darken it, I like the length.
Yeah, it's longer and it's thicker, so it'll.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, and I'm thinking like if you darken it, like you showed with the alcohol and the Sharpie.
Mm-hmm. And that's also something I can get it to where I want it, and as long as I don't go too dark on you, you could always make it a little darker if you wanted to, because it's an easy technique. You just put some.
But that's just it. Is I don't mind if his mohawk is dark because his head is so light. I need that contrast.
Okay. Yeah.
And so about
a couple of straggles of ostrich plume up in the hair. Sideways.
Yeah, and a black ostrich hair, I'm thinking up in his mohawk, right? Yeah. And I'm thinking no white in his mohawk.
Okay, cool. That's great.
Yeah, and then that way it will separate his hair from his plume. Mm-hmm. And then it's the way that I drew it, there is space between his mohawk and his mane.
Yeah.
Right? There's like a little bit of space in there.
Yeah.
And so if his mohawk can kind of like lay back but like not touch the mane.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how long that is because I'm not looking at it, directly.
It's right now it's about 8 inches. That's about 8 inches.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm thinking probably those plumes. I'm thinking those plumes probably closer to like gosh, 4 inches, maybe 3 inches coming out of there. You know, so that they're longer than the hair and they still have that bounce, but they're black.
So that's how I did that. Those two that are sticking up there. Those are plume.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I see with his hair. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
Now I hope to put the eyes on this one, but I don't know that I should do that until we have the mohawk on, because I'm just worried I'm gonna put it in the wrong spot.
Well, absolutely.
Rolls, there's not much. I mean, I know where they're gonna go. They're gonna go right. They're gonna go right.
What about placing the eyes before the mohawk?
You can do that.
So then that way because the eyes
are gonna. Those are where the eyes are gonna go, basically.
Yeah. The one closest to you, I think that's your left knuckle.
Yeah.
Can you lower that one a little bit?
Okay, so that's where my knuckle is, right? That's where that space is.
Yeah, but I want it to come like kitty. It's hard to describe from this angle. No, not back towards you. It would be stage right, down stage down, or down stage right. It would come down.
That way.
So yeah, that stage right, and then down stage is towards me.
So there?
Yes, that's closer.
Okay, so that is actually right there.
Where is that?
It's on this knuckle right there.
That's on that knuckle?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see him move around. Huh.
Let me see my camera.
It's so hard.
It is hard. I mean, I'm going to have to just basically make sure it's even. Like this one's just, and again, I'm going by the center of where these are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, once we get one set, it'll be easier to get the other one in the right spot. But.
And again, I'm just going off of what it looks like, and I'm not there, so I don't know if they're uneven.
When you puppeteer it, do you naturally put the head down like that? I guess you'll do it however you want to do it. But
well, first of all, I'm left-handed.
Well, true.
Yeah, and that changes the whole performance. Yeah. And secondly, I haven't got my puppet area set up yet. But generally, the way that we tried to puppeteer is we would be on a surfboard like this, puppeteering. And then that way we had full rotation with the puppeteer or with the puppet. And then we had this hand for our rods. Right. And so that allows you to be able to have him looking down, looking up.
No, so here's what I was saying is that if you are to have a tendency to puppeteer like that the eyes might be looking too high, so you may want to bring them down a little bit. If you puppeteer more like this, where your hand is tipped, the eyes look good to me, but as far as the placement goes. But it's hard for me to do this because I'm doing it left-handed.
And again, you're also doing the puppet like this, which is a totally different angle than what I'm going to be doing, which is more Muppet style.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, exactly.
So that looks actually pretty good.
And it's a totally different look than...
It's also hard because I have a weird camera set up here where I'm not actually looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll work. Okay. So, I'm going to leave these pieces of tape on here for now. I'm going to put the mohawk on. Maybe you and I can, before I cut the holes, we can do one more of these here live or just as a you and me. And we'll get those things on there. And I'll have the inserts at that point too. So,
oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I like I said, it was a good pup date. it was good to kind of let everyone know that, I have this secret project I've been working on. And it's not terrible to have a secret project.
Yeah, I
that has been. Yeah, well, I mean, it's hi Tangent. Tangent. Steve, put the puppet on screen for Tangent. I don't know if you remember Tangent from the forums way back when.
I remember Tangent.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it right-handed. Although his body.
Keisha, Steve remembers you. Yeah. So this is a puppet that I'm commissioning from Steve. This is Sebastian Pennyworth III Jr. And so we're getting there. He's starting to get there. Yeah, I'm so excited. You have no idea how excited I am. And I owe you a third left on the payment.
Yeah. Well, shipping. So add another $10 on there or whatever. Or 15, however much it is.
What for the
shipping?
Oh, the shipping.
Yeah.
$10 for shipping, and then like another $5 for the Kinko's prints.
Oh, that was all part of it. That was part of it. That was part of the, I probably should charge separately for materials because there is such a variety. But usually I try to budget that into it as well. Because,
I mean, you budget your like labor, right?
Well, not in this case, but yeah. So like if I'm doing the Swedish Chef, that's $2,500.
Yeah. I cannot afford a $2,500.
And that's about probably $800 worth of materials. Maybe 6. Okay.
So how be honest with me.
Yeah.
If I weren't a friend and I didn't have the friend discount, in materials and stuff like that, just cost. How much does it cost, not labor, to make a puppet like this?
This one, well, okay, let me think, because I had some stuff on hand that I was able to repurpose, like scraps.
Yeah.
But if I were to charge everything that went into it, I was thinking about this, there's probably about $75 worth of material.
Okay, so materials, we're looking at $75. The pattern was $20.
Yeah,
so about $100 worth of materials.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how much labor have you put into it?
Well, I was trying to think about this because originally I was just going to knock it out in one day, but because we've been doing back and forth so much.
I know, because I'm the worst client.
But I've been working on it for maybe 2 hours a day, so maybe I put 8 to 10 hours total into this.
Okay, so how much do you pay yourself an hour?
Usually about $40 to $50 an hour.
Okay, so we'll say $50 an hour. 50 times 8 is I know this. 400.
Yeah. 400.
Yeah. Okay. So $400.
500.
So
actually, 500 would have been 5 to 6 would have been my non-friend.
Okay. Would have been the non-friend discount. Which I appreciate that you gave me the friend discount.
I mean, it's the same that I would give to Eric for one of those guys.
Yeah. Yes. That being said, it's still like it's top quality work, and
well, that's the other thing. I wanted to upgrade everything. Like, I'm sure your original was Lizard Fleece. I'm sure it was machine sewn for the most part. I tried to, where I could, put the more professional spin on those basic things. So like, I still have to brush out. Like, he still got a pretty nasty scheme on the arms because they did machine sew those. But around here someplace, I have a cat brush to take care of that. So I haven't.
Oh, well, I appreciate you taking the time to cat brush my fleece.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and to let the audience know and stuff, the original puppet was built by a puppeteer and puppet maker by the name of Gordon Smuter, who is with a group called the Puppet Forge and used to be one of the top special effects guys at Minifex, which is a special effects house in Minnesota. And so he was Mr. Build It. And the guy knows how to build puppets to the point that he's so busy building taxidermy puppet things that he's got commissions going years. I think he's got 2 years of commissions right now. And that I was like, hey, you want to build my little puppet that you built the original a long time ago? He's like, I can't do it. I'm too busy. I can't take commissions. And so it's okay, Gordon. Can I have the puppet pattern and stuff? He's like, yeah, okay. The puppet pattern was here is at 108%. Any questions you have, let me know.
Because I would have done it 100%. It never would occur to me to blow it up.
Yeah,
if you and I both have the same size small hand, which it fits fine in this pattern.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but
that was the funny thing about all the the Melonful puppeteers. You were one of them as well. We all have the exact same size hand. It's crazy how, and I have tiny hands.
Yeah.
Eric, his brother Roger, who's like 6'2", has the same size hand as me. Chris Gleason, who's the same height as me, same size hand, and it's so funny, and it makes it super easy for me.
Because you haven't had to worry about everything, and me, even though I'm all tiny, I have like long fingers.
Right.
So it's the same size hand.
Are longer than mine, but my palm is bigger, and so I got these baby little hands, but we have the same size hand overall. Yeah,
but we had the same. But the fingers went in the same spot. Yeah, it's weird.
Super easy. The only one, the thing I use this joke. I used it a couple of weeks ago when I was working on a shoot. If somebody bigger, has a humongous hand, tries to put their hand in one of my puppets, they're like, "Oh, it's so tight," and I'm always like, "I can't cater to your gigantism." Even though,
it's like no, it's.
That's how I got my first. That's how I got my first puppeteering job. Is I was building. It was an American Greetings spot that BJ was working on, and he was running out of time, and he had to build a dog and a cat. And I said, well, let me build the cat. And so I started building the cat. I got to a certain size, and he goes, oh, that looks great. And I go, yeah. And he goes, and he puts his hand and goes, ooh, that's tight. And I go, oh yeah, I didn't really think about it. And he goes, yeah, you're gonna have to puppeteer this. Because nobody can get their hand inside that other than you. Because his hand's a good knuckle on me.
One of my first puppeteering gigs was, I think actually my first puppeteering gig ever that I actually got paid for before I ever met you was working for O Entertainment.
Right.
And my hand was dressed in a dress and was one of the guests at the party for the God Thumb.
Oh, the God Thumb. I thought it was
for the crowd scene.
Right.
And for for the wedding at the very beginning of the movie. Yeah, yep. Well we were recording a crowd scene, and so we only had so many puppets. So we actually needed real hands.
That's funny.
And so I was one of the girls in the office, and so they're like, you have girl hands.
Yeah. Again, my hands are so. I run into problems when I try to do a Kermit the Frog. I always scale it down to 80%.
Yeah.
Because it'll fit my hand. I did a puppet, and part of this mad sale on puppets, I built a puppet for another local puppeteer, and he happened to mention, because I was like, oh, your hands are bigger, let me trace it so that I make sure I make it big, the pocket big enough for your hand to get in. And so he traced it, he goes, oh, I have a Kermit the Frog, and I don't even have to put padding in there. It's the same size as Jim's. So when I did the Swedish Chef, I just traced his hand to make the hands for the Swedish Chef, because I knew Frank Oz and Jim Henson had similar size hands, and that would be the right size. So yeah, his hands are now on that Swedish Chef. So his hands are now your template hands. Yeah, for the big hands. Yeah, I have a set. Now I did cut some of the palm off a little bit, just but yeah, the fingers are the same length as his fingers.
That's good to know. That you now have template hands.
Right.
For your Swedish Chef.
This pattern hands are a little different size than what I usually do. This is pretty close to the size that I do.
Yeah.
And
the thing is the hands that you have for your guy, that's closer to what I remember Sebastian's hands being like, is small like that.
Now the arms seemed really short too.
Yeah.
But I just followed the pattern because he says that's what he used, so that's what he's got. But
I am not going to try and be a beggar because I am a chooser. Well, I am making enough requests.
Right. Well, the thing that I noticed, again, I'm going to give you that extra fabric, and it's super easy to change it out. At least the dye will match. So it's all from the same batch.
Yeah.
But again, I'll never use that color again, so why not?
Well, and I'm not the worst seamstress in the world. I'm sure I
Right.
can sew up some legs.
Sure.
You know, like
Yeah.
I'm not. You know, I am not unable to sew myself.
I hate legs on puppets. I tell you, I get kicked in the head by them constantly when I'm using it. So
No, the only thing that I would ever use legs for is if I were being interviewed on a podcast or something else where I am in an environment
I guess
where he's sitting and I need him to look comfortable in that environment.
right.
And then what I would do is the legs wouldn't be animated at all. They'd literally just be sitting there crossed.
Right. So I only have, I think, 3 puppets that have legs.
Yeah. And again, they wouldn't be attached to him. They'd probably be like separate removable legs.
Right. So here's Eddie.
Yeah.
And Eddie, this is a little invention of mine. It seems to work pretty well. So he's got no legs, but he's got these legs, which.
But that puppet seems like he needs legs.
No, he doesn't. Maybe, but okay. So he's got legs now, and
Are those magnetic?
sort of. There's chip clips embedded in the. There's a magnet on there. It's too weak to do anything, but it's got a chip clip embedded in the leg. It just clips right onto the edge of his body there.
A chip clip. Okay, I see.
That was my invention. Now the nice thing about it is, now he's a full dog. Like I could actually puppeteer him like this off frame there.
Yeah.
You know, and do it in such a way so that he's
Nice.
standing there. Now again, he's one that I'll probably end up putting those removable rods in, because there's times like this where it would have been great to have. Hello.
Yeah.
How are you doing? Yeah. You know, that sort of thing. But again, when I'm puppeteering, he's hitting me and kicking me in the face. I don't like that. So.
No, I totally get it. And again, the only reason why I would have legs with Sebastian, and I've considered this, right, is opening up my screen again. I'll show you kind of the design that is going through my mind a little bit sometimes. So what I see is like a recliner.
Oh, right.
Right? And then this is just a sec. I'm drawing way too big for myself. I gotta shrink it down. Yeah, so
With a hole in it, basically, to draw.
yeah, hole in it, you know, and then the box.
I have done that, and it is such a pain. It's so tough to do it. But
Yeah.
you know, you figure it out. I have a captain's chair from Maybury that I built out of a gypsy car seat is what I made it out of. I made a thing with a hole in it. I've never used it. I used it once. It was so painful and so difficult to use. I found ways not to use it.
Yeah, and again, like his legs would just be like this, and
Right.
then like crossed.
And the way honestly I would do that, and I know that if you haven't seen it, there's a show called Mongrels.
Yeah.
On there they had this whole thing, and they said that the legs for the pigeon were never on the pigeon. It was always attached to the fence, and they just lean up against it. And so I would actually make the legs part of that chair. So
Well, and that's exactly what I'm describing. Is that the legs aren't attached to Sebastian. They are prop
right.
to give the illusion that Sebastian is sitting in the chair.
Is that real distracting though? Is that real distracting, him not having legs?
I was scared.
What's wrong?
I was scared.
You're scared of what? What were you watching something scary on TV? Okay, do you want to sit with me? Do you want to sit with me? She was watching something scary on TV.
Look at a doggy.
Do you want to see the doggy? Okay, come here. Come on, let's see the doggy. Come here. She doesn't want to see the doggy.
Wow.
Now she's scared again. Okay, so but again, this is something where I was thinking that Sebastian, I want to try and get people to just go, what the hell, is this person serious? Are they not? Are they, do they really mean what they're saying? Like, would this work? Are they like is what they're talking about
Right.
possible or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And
I get it.
And so there's a couple of people that I've talked to and stuff about later on down the line, interviewing the character for their podcasts.
Okay, that's cool.
And so for that, it's really easy to have the character just pop up on screen, and it's obviously a puppet on screen for it and stuff like that. But I like the idea of the illusion of a casual at-home conversation.
I see. Yeah.
And so that's why what I'm thinking of for this is either two things. One, green screen.
Uh-huh.
And do you remember when Paul Rubens would do Connect the Dots on?
Yeah. Of course.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so, I mean, we don't know what the green screen structure looked like underneath Connect the Dots.
Right.
But we know that sometimes he stepped into the tractor, right? Sometimes he would close the door, right? And it would like, and you and I know that it's just like a blue
probably
like cardboard or something
Yeah.
that he's putting in front of him, but it created the illusion of him shutting the door of the track or of the car or whatever. And so like, I don't know if I'm going to do like I said, like green screen like that, where he's casually at home, but that's why I'm thinking legs are down the line.
Sure.
Not something where I'm going to make it immediately.
Right. So usually when I do a replica, I usually try to talk them out of doing legs. But if they want legs, I'll tack on another $500 and do legs for them. But I mean, honestly, it wouldn't be that much. But down the line, talk to me if I'm not swamped with
leg requests.
With leg, yeah. If it's not leg day, I can do it.
Well, no, I get about I don't want to be hit in the head with puppets with legs, because I've been stuck in gigs like that too. And Furry Ackermonster was one of the TV puppets that we had. That he was he was like Rolf, or he was like the Swedish Chef, where he had hands. He had glove hands, but Gordon had made his front so long to create space, to create coverage for him.
Yeah.
That like when he needed extra space, he needed extra help and stuff. I was one of the few people that had the same sized hands as Gordon.
Really?
And so I was one of the few people that could operate Furry's hands.
Oh, I see.
And then get in there and like, so if Gordon was like, operating the hand over here and he's doing this hand, and then Furry needed to pull a lever or whatever, I was the extra hands, to pull the lever. Well, that overhang, I hated that because I couldn't see the monitors. I couldn't see like if I was on my cue or not. Yeah, that guy's cool. You like that guy? You like that guy, Annabelle? Yeah, you do?
Yeah, so you were talking about Pee-wee. Paul Rubens.
Yes.
When he died, I built that kind of a reference.
As a little homage.
A little homage, yeah. He's one of the few puppets I have It can actually stand up on his own too, which is nice.
Nice. Well, he's just a rod puppet, right? Like no arm in him at all.
Yeah, there's no arm. He's a rod puppet, and
He's like Tom Servo.
very much like he's actually closer to Crow, kind of set up like Crow.
Oh, he's more like Crow.
Yeah, I was kind of calling him like the MST3K version of Pee-wee's Playhouse because the mechanism's almost exactly the same. He even got the PVC pipe down at the bottom that works it.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. Again, it's what you have access to.
Yeah, but I remember you were so proud of finding that soap dish.
Oh yeah, still am. Yeah, that was a big deal. In fact, most of the replicas I've seen, there was a flaw in that mold that Ed Muriecki made, and then people would buy it, and then they make their own copy of it, and then make their own molds and sell them. And every pro replica I've ever seen in real life, I go up and I see that flaw was in that mold, and I know that they would not have that if I had not found that soap dish originally.
Yes. So you're very proud of that.
Yeah.
Yes. Annabelle, do you need help? What do you need? You're scared? Do you want me to change the TV in there? Okay, give me a minute.
Okay, so we're about done, right?
I think we're done.
Okay.
I just wanted to thank you so much for your time and of course going over Sebastian with me and explaining the stupid, like, I don't understand how puppets are built, like, stuff to me.
So I have something to plug, but let me get my phone because I tell you. So I got interviewed on Monday for a podcast called what's it called? It's called
You didn't send me a link or anything.
Well, I just found out it went live today, so I'll send you a
Oh,
link.
okay.
But it's called, well, maybe it's like Justin something. Justin, here. I want to get the name. I've suddenly turned into an 80-year-old man. So it's Justin Talks Puppets, and it's on YouTube and everything. And he interviewed me about the whereabouts of the chowder puppets from that and other puppets that I worked. I didn't work on chowder puppets, but I worked in the shop that did it. So I could hopefully piece together what happened. He basically researches the whereabouts of flops and puppets and where they are now.
Okay.
So I was able to clue him in on like the Glee puppets and the Nike puppets and a couple other things I worked on. So.
Well, maybe he'll be able to find the original Sebastian someday.
Yeah, did you just lose it or?
So okay. So just kind of letting you know what's going on. Gordon is brilliant, and he came up with the idea of TV.
Right.
And he said, let's make a show with puppets that resurrects dead TV shows.
Okay.
Right? Great idea. We'll do parodies of like Star Trek and Twilight Zone and everything like that. The problem with an idea like that with puppets is you have to build puppets for all the parodies.
Right.
So he's like, okay, let's build puppets for our core characters and then we can raise money for the parodies. So when he's like trying to put the team together and stuff, Minnesota's kind of a small film community. And one of the people in that small film community was Michael Hagel, who is the villain of the story.
Okay.
And Michael Hagel took co-creator credit,
right.
despite the fact that he didn't really create anything.
Mm-hmm.
He filled the writer roster with his friends, despite the fact the writing wasn't very good and it wasn't funny. And his friends weren't interested in expanding the writer's room beyond them.
Okay.
And they had several successful Kickstarters and Kickstarters. They had at least 3. One was $9,000. One was over $11,000 that they had. and then I don't remember what the third one was, but I know that much of that money ran off with Michael.
Oh, okay.
And so, and what didn't go towards production.
Okay.
And so, Michael, at the end of production, when they were packing up the studio and all of the walls and all the props and everything like that, I understand, baby. Okay, I'm gonna change it in just a second. Sebastian was in a box with a bunch of other Sebastian-like puppets that were all in different colors that were originally given to us puppeteers as practice puppets so that we could get our puppeteering down, get our performances down, work on our thumb movements, head tilts, everything like that. And so Sebastian was originally my practice puppet. So he was in this box, and it is believed, after talking to everyone, that Michael just took the box. And so, because Michael took many things out of that studio that did not belong to him.
Yeah.
And so Gordon doesn't talk to him anymore. None of the other puppeteers talk to him anymore. I don't talk to him anymore. He's not a nice or good person, Michael Hagel.
Well, now I know somebody to be my new business partner. So.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. If you want to be screwed over, if you want somebody to
get some of the blame off of me.
If you ever want to know what it feels like to have a knife in your back,
right?
That's the guy to work with.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't like him for a variety of reasons, but yeah, he was not an honest person.
Is he still doing puppet stuff?
No, he is the kind of guy that moves from project to project to project until he's burned all the bridges in that community, and then he moves on to a different community. So he's not even making movies anymore.
So how did Gordon get hooked up with him?
I told you, Minnesota has a small filmmaking community. Okay. And so he happened to be in that community because he had moved from LA to Minnesota because he had burned all his bridges in LA.
I see.
Yeah. And so Minnesota didn't know he was an awful person, and they went, wow, here's this filmmaker from LA who made one independent movie.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he went out there with his LA credit and basically rode Gordon's coattails on TV and took half the credit for it when he didn't create anything. He didn't write anything. He took production credit, and yes, he produced because he had his friends come in. He hired his friends. The studio was his friend's studio. It was like, yeah, let's do all of this. Now
we know how to break into the Minnesota pulling his path. No, all right. So I'm gonna get going. You get going.
Yes.
And I will. I can feel at least the mohawk and stuff ready and today. If not, then I gotta get on those other puppets. So you probably won't see it before Christmas.
All right. Let me say goodbye to you, and then to everybody else. These are my credits, and so panel, Captain T, Patreon, Twitch.tv, YouTube. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you in the future. Have a great one. Bye.